qualify for, but then you will be submitting a 300-word essay. Look at that, only 300 words. That is equivalent to 3 paragraphs. So you can do it. Just make sure if you're submitting your scholarship, if you're writing an essay, have it proofread, some help on it to make sure that it's grammatically sound. That is something you want to be mindful of. Because with things like this, you only have one opportunity. So make sure whatever you're submitting is the best. Okay, so what else is happening in your neighborhood? There is a health literacy fair happening today, actually, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So while you're here on campus, go check out the health literacy fair, get information on health screenings, vaccines, wellness activities, different things like that. Excuse me, and it's open to the community, so you can tell your family and friends to come here today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Check it out. And lastly, there is an upcoming event called Speed Friending. This is happening in March. It's really fun. So if you have classes on Wednesdays or are available on Wednesdays, I encourage you to plan to come. Lunch is provided. It's a way of just give me a few minutes to log back off and I'll see all the business and get the roster up. I did not remember the names yet, so give me a minute to try to reset. Do it again. And see, it's good. See, there's some people that don't like to talk to them. That person will be talking the whole class. And if you're not that person, you're fine. So let me find out who is here. See if I remember the name. Let's see here. The weather is nice, isn't it?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
It is. And it's only February, so know that in March it might snow, so just be prepared. All right, let's see who's here. Mikhail, you here? All right, Kimberly. Hey, tell us something good.
Last week I participated in the race against hunger.
Oh, it is hunger. What did you do?
Oh, this weekend, my step daughter birthday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we had a plan to hopefully go to Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee. All right. Welcome back. Tyler's not here. Jennifer. Nope. Yaritza. Nope. Yes, Yaritza. Okay, got it. All right. Tell us something good. She's on top of things. Yes, she's handling things. Good job. Praise is not here. Milan.
Because I'm not in your class no more?
No, I want you to tell us something good.
Oh.
Okay, all right. Gael, how do you pronounce that? Gael. How would you pronounce it? Gael, 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 anybody? No? Thank you, you also helpful, thank you. Ryan? No. Jonathan? No, Jonathan's not here. Jordan? No. You're definitely not Naomi, none of you all, guys. Hugh, tell us something good. Hui, I'm sorry, Hui, sorry.
I got a good deal from my book.
For your book? All right, cool. All right, I think that was 1, 2. Resources. You have access to this on your dashboard. See where it is? When you have your start here, lessons, course resources, student resources. If you've never looked at this, then it has a lot of information here that can be helpful to you. They have technology services. If you're having challenges on Blackboard or anything, this is your go-to here. So you go to student resources, that tab, or show you where it is, this tab on your dashboard, student resources. If you need tutorial services, you can go there to register for tutorial, okay? So if you need math or language arts or sciences, any type of tutorial services, you go there. Right now, student special populations. I want you to look at these, well, special populations. This one specifically for disability. But student assistance resources is here. Now, many people might be in this category, you just didn't know. So this section has 2 different information. If you need mental health, wellness, you need someone to talk to, that type of support, that is there. And then also think about your family. Your family and friends having some issues, some challenges, they need therapy, they need help. You know, at least you have a reference that they can guide you to somewhere else or someone else that can help the family member. Now for you, special populations, if you are a single parent, you're considered special populations. There are special services available for this group of people. So if you're in this group, get every resource available. If you are an out of workforce individual, meaning that you're older, you're out of work, you're a special population. If you have any type of disability, physical and mental, medical, special population. If you have any barriers to educational achievement, which includes limited English proficiency, you are considered special populations. Get the resources you need. Anybody experiencing homelessness, if you are in foster care as a youth, if you are a student, a non-traditional student preparing for a field that's not normally for you. Example, if you are a man and you are in the nursing program, that's a special population. If you are a female and you are in the welding program or construction, that's special population. So there are many different support resources for you. So make sure you reach out and get access to those. Now, let's look at lesson 6. We are in lesson 6 today. Another thing, something else I would like to point out to you all. Lesson 6. Now, when you look at lesson 6, you see that there, the PowerPoint, we'll go over that, and then you have your 3 red book assignments, and then a test. The test is on March the 3rd, okay, March the 8th. Now, when you look at these, the test says March the 8th, but the other 3 assignments says that it's due May 10th. What happens? On May 10th, if you did not complete those assignments, you automatically get a 0. The last day that we submit grades is on May 10th. So imagine, you did not do any of these red book assignments. You didn't do any of them. You will automatically get a 0. So if you have an A on every assignment, but do not do those, your GPA will drop. Do yourself a favor and do these assignments. They're easy, they do take some time, but make sure that you actually know the information that's presented. So I encourage you, my students, do these assignments on time. Do not wait to May the 9th and try to do 13 weeks of assignments. That's at least 3 to 4 per week that is due. Do not do it to yourself because you'll have so many other things that you have to finish by the end of this semester. So make sure you do these on time. Now, when it comes down to final grades, I can only do the best I can. If you've been in class, doing your best, submitting your assignments, great. But if you don't do any of these, I can't do much for you, okay? As far as helping you to get that A that you worked hard for, or at least pass the course that you worked hard for. So I encourage you again, do the Red Book assignments on time. You're in class, you're here, do the work. Anybody have questions? Yes, sir.
I already did this before.
Okay, you did it, that's great. So make sure you did it for every week. That's from lesson 1 throughout the 13 weeks. Make sure you get those done. Anybody
Yes, ma'am.
else? Okay, all right, so today's exciting lesson is on note-taking. She's so excited, yeah. How many of you love taking notes? How many of you want the whole class based on taking notes? Isn't that great? Okay, so we'll do the best we can. This class will last about 20 minutes. That's all the information is here. All right, so when you're taking notes, you need to be prepared. Know the agenda for the day. When you go to any class, have a plan in place, review the information before getting there, or get there early enough to review to know exactly what you will be discussing. So you'll be able to determine what level of importance and priority in the note-taking in advance. Now, it's telling you, review your notes that you already had, sit somewhere where you can take good notes where you won't be distracted. That's always good, wherever you go. If you went to a conference or anywhere, sit somewhere. You know, it's best to sit towards the front because more distraction happens in the back. So if you're going somewhere, you know, some people like to sit in the back. Be the person who always sits in the front because you're more focused, okay? And you don't miss anything. When you're in the back, you see all of the heads in front of you, so anything that is happening can distract you. So it's always best to sit close to the front. Now, in the middle of this, it says, accept the instructor as is. Why? Because the instructor you have in different classes, they're not as, you know, they're not all as fabulous as me, okay? So I know that you love Miss Professor Gift, all right? But every professor is not that way. They don't have the same delivery. They're just different. And you have to accept that instructor, their delivery, the facilitation style, the presentation style. It is what it is. They might be exciting and engaging. They might be boring. That is who they are, how they are. You can't control that. This is a business deal. Their job is to give you information. Your job is to receive it. It's not about liking, it's not about anything in between. It's about making sure that those two things happen. Now, what you do not accept is if your professors are saying things that are off topic that are not appropriate. Now, there were students prior, last semester, fall, who just graduated from high school, first semester in college, and their instructor was a male. These were female students. They were in the same class. The professor was talking about a lot of inappropriate things that was sexually based, okay? So imagine you come to class and you want to learn about whatever the lesson is, and that person is off topic continuously about sexual things, showing visuals, having conversation and discussions, just everything that's not appropriate, okay? What would you do? What would you do?
Report it.
Thank you. What would you do?
Refer this matter to the college university board.
Very good. Anybody else? How many people would just kind of sit, ignore, and do something else on your laptop, get to the class? Go ahead, come on. Who are to sit and ignore people? Raise your hand. Some of you would just be like, you know what? I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but I'm gonna give my credit, yeah. Some people would do that, and many people would do that, okay? I wanna encourage you to do the other two options. Report it, speak to somebody else, because what is not right is not right. And never allow yourself to accept what is not right. It is different. We're not talking about opinion, we're not talking about personality styles. If someone is presenting information that's inappropriate, that affects you in some matter, it should be reported. You don't have to accept that. If someone is demeaning you as an individual, as a culture, as a race, as a group of people, you should be reported. You know, times are different. Back in the day, we used black people, segregation, racism, all of that stuff. There were times they were in a situation, they had to accept it just because how the system was. Being reported, it wouldn't have helped them, there was no support. But things are different now. You have support, okay? So don't accept what is not right. Now, if it's based on personality, if it's based on something else, you know, sometimes you just deal with it. Sit there, deal with it, it is what it is. But if it's not right, it's not right. Don't accept it. All right, now, back to taking notes. Get organized, have your proper tools ready, notebooks, whatever you use for your note-taking process. How many of you all do not take notes? Just like when you were in high school, you really didn't take notes. Okay. It's because you learn by listening, or you just don't like taking notes? Both. Okay. Some people can listen, hear what they need to hear, and decipher it, and sift it and store it. Everybody's not like that. I encourage you, when you have certain lectures, information, take notes, make it a habit of writing things down as needed. All right, here an example of a visual, of a guide or plan when you're taking notes. You can't really see it here, but if you go to your PowerPoint, you can see it clearly in your dashboard. When taking notes, use active listening rather than just hearing. Because everybody here hears me, but there's some people that are not paying attention, and there's some that is actively listening to anticipate what will be said next. What is very important, they need to remember they're doing a lot of mental processes. This is why they're listening to me. So when you're in your classes, use active listening. Listen for key ideas. Write down short notes, not complete sentences, because it wastes your time. So if you're writing down everything the person says, you will miss what they say next. So try to be brief and try to be quick, to do it quickly as possible so that you can get all of the information. And also use an outline form, so when you're going back over your notes, you would know what that information is linked to. All right, here's an example of an outline form style note taking. Now this is how my notes used to get back in the day. When we were in college, we had to take notes. There was no PowerPoint presentation, there was no guides. You had textbooks, you had to do everything raw. If you missed it, you missed it. If you missed coming to class that day, you missed out on your lecture, okay? You couldn't get it back. So make sure that you're in present. When you are taking notes, now, it says to write down what's on the PowerPoint slides. But in this school, do not do that. Why? Because you have that information already. So it doesn't make sense to write down what you already have access to. But when the professor is sharing information that is in addition to the slide, make sure you're writing those down. Or if they show you something else, like if I went to a different screen and put something else up there, you want to write down all of that information, because that is something that is needful for your lesson. Now, question, well, this section is on dealing with difficult instructors. Does anybody have a difficult instructor so far? Anybody? You have to tell us who you are. Anybody, one of the instructors you like to say? Anybody? Yay, all these instructors are great. Does anybody have a difficult instructor while they're in school? High school? 1, 2, yep. What made it difficult, me? They wanted to. So the goal was just to give you information, and they didn't care anything else what happened in the middle. Okay, what about you? What made the person difficult?
they didn't explain the project well, and then what completed the project correctly. They gave us extended time to do it, and I gave it to him, and he went great. I gave you his age, they read.
Okay, so give you extra time, but still give you 0.
Yeah.
Then great, but you get sick. Yes, ma'am, in the back. What made it difficult? Didn't explain things well. Okay, so when you're thinking about difficulty can relate to different ways. Now, some people have different presentation styles, and if communicating and presenting, it may be different. That person might be very fast. That first person may be very disengaging. So it sounds like you're just talking to somebody out in the sky. Or they may not explain things well. But that doesn't mean that they're difficult as an instructor. Difficulty is normally related to the relationship, the responses that you get from that instructor. If you have an instructor that you're reaching out to and they're being very rigid, very firm on their decisions, they're not open, they're not accessible, that's more rigidity, that's more difficulty. Okay? So you have to be able to decipher, is this a personality style? And this is the way their presentation style. I like it, I don't like it, I get it, I don't get it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that person is difficult. So when you have instructors of different levels and different ways, you would want to make sure you reach out to the person, communicate with the person, keep an open line of communication. Because you never know, tomorrow is pregnant, meaning that it can give birth to anything. So that same person that you're thinking is difficult can be the best person in your corner tomorrow. You never know. Also remember that it's only temporary, 1 semester, that's it. Get through it, get through the deal, and it's over. It's not personal, they don't have to like you, you don't have to like them. It's about business. Handle your business, they handle theirs. But always make sure you ask questions. Now when you're asking questions and you do not get answers, you do not get responses, that means that person is pretty difficult. Because you have to ask questions.
Again.
If during class, if you're asking questions and you're getting a lot of pushback, address it after class. Never challenge a professor during class. Never do that. If the person says something that is wrong, and you know that it was wrong, it could be either by mistake. They could say something and they forgot something. You're like, oh no, it's this. That's fine. But if you're challenging a professor, don't do that. After class, you can say something to the person and say, you know what, you said this, and I want to make sure I understand the right thing. You know, the person may not even realize that they did it. But you want to also make sure that you are addressing them respectfully. You deserve also to be respected. So make sure it's a mutual relationship. Work with your classmates to get through the class, you know. If there's information they're presenting, they're not going into detail, you need more information. There are some people that is getting it. So work with those students that seems to be getting that information, getting the things that you're not getting. And make sure you always try to keep an open line of communication with your instructions. You can just try. If they don't respond, that's just them. At least you put forth the effort. And then lastly, make sure that you are not a difficult student. You know, don't be that person that is rigid, that is one-sided, one way of thinking, stubborn, refusing to listen, understand, bend, accept, in any way. Do not be a difficult person, because it affects everything. It affects your relationship here with your instructor, it affects peers, it affects family, it affects your job. You want to make sure that when you're thinking somebody else is difficult, that you yourself are not difficult. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right, so taking notes, make sure that you evaluate the notes before leaving. Never leave class with a question in your mind. Always ask your question. It doesn't matter how you think it is important or not important. Always ask, because that's what you need. That's why you're there. Don't just assume and don't just try to figure it out. Why figure it out when you can ask a question to get what you need? So be bold. Make sure every time you're asking a question, oh, I didn't get that. Can you please repeat what you said? You know, that's why you're there. After class, you know, you said this, I didn't really understand what you were saying, or I missed number 2 from whatever you were talking about. Go and ask questions. Make sure that you are clear before leaving the class, because you would forget as well. And last 2 slides, I believe. Make sure that you review your notes right after class. You know why? Because it helps it to be stored and transferred into your long-term memory. So that's a tip. No matter what type of notes you're taking, whether it's on your job, whether you're in a conference somewhere, go over that information immediately following, because it will be stored longer. The longer you wait, the less effective it will be. If you have a test on 5 lessons, and tonight, night before the test, you're starting at lesson 1 to review, and you did not look at that information throughout the whole time, these all 5 weeks, it will be hard to have it stored in you. That's when people go into cramming. Cramming is what we used to do back in the day. Yes, they will stay up all night long, cram that information, and may be ready for the test. You might pass it, you might not, but at least you put forth effort. But if you're going over the information little by little throughout the whole time, it will help you to remember it longer. And you'll be more effective in recalling that info. When you're taking notes, use highlighters, use anything to make that information jump off the page, off of your screen, so you can know that it is important. Some people make the flashcards and different things like that. I never made like flashcards. I don't remember doing that. I know maybe for math, when you learned your math facts, you had to learn that by memory. But some people are like that. They'll write things down here and there just to remember it. If that's not you, it's okay. But just find your style. All right, you can take notes on different type of materials, paper, your laptop, your phones, whatever device you use, just have a plan in place. And the end. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have a study guide for the test?
A study guide? No, you don't have a study guide, but the ABA assignments here, what you could study is the chapter assignments. So the chapter assignments for chapter 1, 2, and 3, you know, when you took those tests already and the answers are there, right? So, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this. Some people need a visual, so let me show them. You understand it because you're auditory, so you process it in your mind, but some people might need to see what I'm talking about. All right, so when you're looking at your test, the test you've already taken, you see the answers are already there. So you can read through those questions and look at the answers to help you on the test. All right, so make sure that's a way of studying. Your PowerPoints won't be that effective because it only gives you a guide, like an outline of what you learned, but it may not have those core information that will be on the test. So review with those chapter assignments. Any other questions? Have a wonderful day.